Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating young man. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Ms. Mats, for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. My name is Jonasi Eangano Singehebhuye, and I'm originally from Burundi, but born in Tanzania. And yes, I am based in Melbourne. A lot of my work, all my studies, everything to do with me has come from Melbourne. And in terms of myself, I'm based in the western suburbs of Melbourne. Like I said, all of my works have predominantly come from the northern and western parts of Melbourne. And what I do is I run a small non-for-profit organization called Acts of Random Kindness Victoria, which was established back in 2002, but formally incorporated in 2019. And how it came to be, just like many people of the cult community, we're always constantly looking for opportunities, constantly looking for different streams and outlets to express ourselves, but also connect to the society that we've now come to, which for us is Melbourne. In terms of background, I came to Australia back in 2000, early 2000s, and I came as a young man, of course. And when we first came to Australia, the first thing we noticed was, of course, this was a beautiful land of many opportunities compared to what we had back home. And like I said, born, raised in Tanzania, did my early years of living in Tanzania, and that's predominantly where basically my African experience has always been in Tanzania. And the reason why we came over here, just like most other people, was seeking opportunities and seeking better life. And I'm one of 8, so you can already imagine how stressful it would have been for my parents, who my mother gave birth to 7 of us overseas and only 1 in Australia. Now, what that meant was, of course, she had to cater for 7 people, including father. So 10 of us now in a family. So we had to leave that place and go, in pursuit. We did come to Australia with a refugee status. Of course, because originally, like I said, we're from Burundi. And if anyone knows anything about Burundi, back in the days, in the early or late 1980s, all the way to early 1990s, there was quite a lot of civil conflict, civil unrest, and that kind of took my parents out of the country to many other countries as well, seeking refuge, seeking safety, not only just for themselves, but the children as well. Now, fast forward to when we arrived in Australia, it became about search, about identity and belonging and trying to make a life for ourselves. And, life was not easy growing up because we came to Australia, first and foremost, no idea where we're going. No one in my household anyway knew where Australia was or what Australia was, or what it was. And also, of course, we spoke not the language, which of course meant things were always going to be difficult, because it meant we need to come into a new land and start from scratch. We did a fairly good job in that. In the first couple of years, we managed to fast track ourselves, education wise, living condition. As you can imagine, of course, no matter how hard you try to exist in a new land with, embracing everything, culture, trying to assimilate in the new culture, it's never easy. End of the day, it's never ever easy. And we faced many struggles, many obstacles, including racial struggles, just financial struggles, being in a new land, and just life was a mess in the early stages. We had a lot of support, of course. We had many groups, newly arrival or settlement groups that helped us out, which made life slightly easier, because it meant, there were people out there who already knew the land that could help us settle. Now, the organization that I established back in 2012 came from that school of thought, just being so grateful about life and seeing all the beauties of life, in how people are willing to literally help. Actually, us coming from Africa to Australia, that was already an enormous opportunity. And I'm a religious man, so I give God literally all the glory, because not everyone have the opportunity or have had the opportunity that we have had today. And so we're very grateful to the Australian government back then, which was the Howard government, who helped us get into Australia on this refugee status. And from there on, it's just been both good and bad. Good because we're now in a land where we can grow, mature, but also, I suppose, benefit from all the goodness of life given through the opportunities that we have in Australia. But bad as well. It meant, of course, we left the motherland, but also meant that we had to now deal with a new land, new stresses, new struggles, and like I said, it was not easy early on. But in saying that, though, because we received a lot of help, in my heart, I've always carried the heart, ever since I was a young man, the heart of, one day I need to give back. I need to give back because so many people have sacrificed, so many people have gone over and beyond to make what I have today possible. And I can think from every aspect of life. We're talking school life. I had teachers who just literally sat me down and walked with me on my own pace through life, and made that a beautiful journey, tough but beautiful journey. Education was good, school was the same, and even community was also the same. A lot of figures, a lot of people coming, doing a lot of mentorship programs, a lot of outreach programs, all helped shape the person I am today. And I've always wanted to carry that heart of giving back. And so when I reached the age where I could now begin to also give back to the community, give back to my people, I took the opportunity with two hands. But funny story in terms of background, ARC, or Acts of Random Kindness Victoria, which is the organization that I helped establish in 2012, did not come from me intentionally going out and wanting to form an organization. It was more me just having the heart of giving back and being in the right place at the right time. Because how it kind of came about was, it was in the summer of 2012, and I remember it was back in St. Albans. There was six young children, Southeast Asian. I think it was about 4 Indian boys and a couple others from either maybe Indo or Malaysia. They were playing in the playground, and I was at this local park training for football, that is soccer. And during my session, a couple of them came and wanted to do what I was doing in the park. And mind you, back then I was playing semi-pro football, and I did not want anything to do with anything at all with these young children. But upon realizing that these kids were only there, or these children rather, were there purely based on the fact that they did not have anything going for them, then instead of kicking them off or kicking them away, I decided in the split of moment, you know what, let me do something nice. I took my station that I'd put on the park in terms of the platform that I'd created for myself to train, and I split it into two. Put one side of the park, I set up a station for them to do what I was doing, but in their own space, and another one for where I was training. So that way I told them, you guys just copy or mimic what I'm doing, and then you can do it in your own location. So it was more me seeing that there was an opportunity for these young people to do something rather than kicking them away, which in most instances most people would do. So again, coming from that heart of I've been helped, so I also should carry the heart of helping. That's how this initiative kind of began. Now, because these children worked out that I was there, I was at that park every Wednesday and every Saturday. So every Wednesday, every Saturday, when I was there at 6 p.m., those children started to come. And they started to come on a regular basis, coming. And before I knew it, they were inviting their friends along as well, because they thought in their mind, and I'd not said anything, I'd not established anything, they thought in their mind that I had now started something for them. Now, it was all football based, it was all sport based initially. And so these young children, week in, week out, they kept coming in. The number grew from 6 to 12, then it was like 15. And before I knew it, after like about 3-4 weeks, there was about 40 young children in this oval there to play football with me. And I was very confused. I was like, I did not ask for this. And at that time, I didn't have the strength to tell them no. But I noticed some parents started coming over as well, started asking me questions like, well, what's driving you to do this for the children? I'm like, I'm not doing anything for the children. I just kind of gave them the sporting equipment to do whatever they wanted to do. And before long, all the parents were engaged. And I remember in the summer of 2013, that's when everything really clicked. I was like, I remember I said, you know what, I'm just going to give it a try. I'm going to get these young people and give them something on a regular basis weekly. And so every Saturday morning, I said, you know what, let's do something. And by 2013, there was about almost 100 and something. I think it was 103 from the count. 103 young people in this oval, filled up this oval, coming to do these holiday programs with me. Again, no plan in terms of how to run the program. I had no idea how to establish a program. I had no idea, absolutely no idea. Like I said, it was just one act of random kindness that kind of led to this marvelous organization that we have today, which is now branched over to many other sectors as well, or sections as well. So we're now looking only after sport. And now we're doing women's leadership programs, we lead, and we're also doing other programs as well. So that's a little bit of a rundown. It's a bit full on, but
Wow. Your story is so inspiring. It's incredible how your life purpose finds you sometimes. I read a quote once that said, your life purpose is embedded in the things that you are passionate about. And it sounds to me like your passion was a passion for soccer. It's something you do intuitively without thinking, without being taught. It's just hardwired in you. But now you found a way that you can empower other people, children, families, communities with your work. It's extremely fascinating to see. So can you share how your work specifically addresses the needs of culturally and linguistically diverse communities?
Absolutely. I think in the cult community, which I don't really like using the term cult because it kind of classifies a people and says,
Yes.
these people are not, they don't have something, and I don't like that. But for the sake of discussion, we have a group of people who absolutely lack the opportunity to connect and the opportunity to really be themselves, to feel like they belong and to feel like, they can give back. And what ARC does, it addresses exactly that. We group these young people or these women and children that we look after and say, actually, first and foremost, you guys are valued, first of all, and you guys have the ability to contribute, and you guys deserve every opportunity to also engage in all the opportunities that the community has to offer. For instance, a lot of the people that I work with in the West, they are from families where financially they're not the strongest, and I can testify to that because the majority of my life it's been like that as well. And so engaging in sports or any extracurricular activity is a no-no, especially for families like mine. My mom has 8 children she has to deal with. Imagine if we all had to do some sort of sporting activity. It's impossible because football alone, soccer, is like $2,000 to play. All my brothers want to play, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you've encountered in engaging and empowering diverse communities, and how have you overcome them?
Absolutely. Like I said, it was never really a plan of mine to do this. Like you said, it kind of just followed me as as though it was supposed to happen, right? And because
Yes.
there was no plan, everything kind of spawned off organically. And what that meant was I'm now using facilities and council public spaces that I did not know I had to book. I had to have OH&S rules in place to make certain things happen, and so on and so on. In the early stages of ARC, it became quite visible that the council had too many rules that kind of really restricted the amount of work that I could do and also wanted to do. And that made life slightly difficult early on, dealing with the council and working out what is within the boundaries of running and what needs a bit more planning and extra paperwork and so on. The other, I suppose, area or the other thing that really happened at that time was when we started to do bigger programs and bigger projects. Finance was very scarce, so I had to personally give out of my own funding. So I actually had to work purely to support the programs that I was running, which of course was not sustainable. And then on top of that as well, there was also travel distances as well to run some of the other programs. For example, some of the kids or children wanted to go do things in another region. How do we
Wow.
transport them there? Again, it meant we had to go through all of these things. And how we overcome them was pure resilience, pure persistence, and support and from different leaders in the community who would come on board and make the things that we wanted to achieve possible. Hmm.
I love that. So, how does your role at the Football Empowerment leverage sports as a tool for social inclusion, particularly amongst young people from diverse backgrounds?
Of course, look, like I said, especially when I was engaged a lot with football empowerment, which was
Mhm.
up until 2019, really, a lot of the projects that we did were purely based on, again, giving a platform to a people that did not have it or could not get it, purely
Yeah.
based on circumstance, right? For example,
Mm.
financial circumstances, for example, distance, for example, right? So
Yeah.
we created a platform where we made it convenient for people to get everything they needed that they were missing out of because of
Mm.
these obstacles, and we put it in their own community. And we said, you know what? It's all for free. Come, engage, grow, laugh, whatever. And it was for women, it was for children, it was for youth and young adults. Everybody
Mm.
could benefit from that as well. Now, we were addressing big issues because engagement went up in Brimbank. That's where we were predominantly early on. Engagement went up in Melton. Engagement went up in Wyndham, and we could physically see the transformation of whole LGAs, right in front of us, just purely based on the work that we were producing. And women who had absolutely no, I suppose, door to engage in some of the activities that we were offering could now
Mm.
do it. And not only one or two, we're talking, dozens and
There.
dozens of young girls, you know what I mean? Coming in
Wow.
and also participating. And it was such a beautiful thing to see because it was not happening anywhere. And to
Yeah.
date, it's not happening anywhere else. So we were able to address those kind of
Amazing.
issues and also leverage on those opportunities to make these people grow,
Yeah.
feel like they belong. Again, it's all about value and it's about engagement for us. Mm.
So, how have the recognitions like the Victoria Young Citizen of the Year award impacted your work and the communities that you serve?
Look, I don't do my work for awards or recognition. That's the first thing. And as a matter of fact, I don't remember a lot of these awards. And this is me speaking from the bottom of my heart, because
Mhm.
once they happen, they kind of just go somewhere. Even to date, I don't even know where half of them are. All right, not because I don't care or anything like that, but because they're not really the biggest part of the whole
Why you
experience.
do what you
I
do?
mean,
Yeah.
the biggest part of this experience is seeing people grow and change, and that's always been me, and that's what I want to achieve. And if there's a legacy to leave, that's the legacy. But what the awards do is they give you view, or they give you a platform to then say, "Oh, look, because you've achieved this, let's work with you," type of thing. It's more for publicity so that your work can be shown, and people can also
Yes.
like what we're doing right now. We can talk about the successes of these programs and that they're being
Yeah.
recognized. that's where they kind of come in. But in terms of how they make me feel as a person, they don't make me feel anyhow at all.
Mhm.
And I think if they did not exist, I don't think it would impact my work at all. Simply.
Love that.
Mm.
So, in your opinion, what role does diversity play in effective community leadership?
Diversity is everything. Actually, speaking on diversity, right now in 2024, ARC has a vision to use diversity and harmony as our main theme, and we're working with different groups. There's one group that we're currently, I'm in conversation with to create these wonderful projects across the year. I'm not sure if you've heard of HWPL. So we're doing this peace education uh, workshops together, and it's all about on the theme of diversity and taking diversity, embracing diversity in its all different elements and culture, including language and where you're from, and just being the different person you are, and how
Yeah,
important you are as a piece of the symbiotic of or symbiosis of a whole network, right? Every single
right.
person matter, and every little bit of the difference actually adds to the complexity of any working system, right? And we're saying
Yes.
without you or without your contribution, this whole
Yeah,
system is not going to look as beautiful as it is. So for
yeah,
me, I'm taking that whole, that's been, again, my whole line of work has always been along the line of you matter, and your little bit that you have adds flavor to what we're trying to achieve, right? And
I
so
love that.
that's where I see the importance of diversity in the cult community, and how
Mhm.
we as the cult community need to see less of I've initiated something and so it's mine. No, it's you've initiated something. How do you add it into the whole cauldron of amazing things
Yes.
that are happening to make this beautiful product that serves the community in its wholesomeness, right? And that's what
Yeah.
I told HWPL as well. I told them, if you guys want to do amazing works, all right, and you guys have amazing work, you're doing this incredible work all around the world, but to make it
Yes.
more beautiful, it's when we localize it, and we make it into the bowl that we're living in, so that
Yeah.
whatever we put in that bowl can add flavor to the diversity, and I suppose the goodness of what we're trying to achieve as a people, which is to grow people, nurture people, and make them become peaceful people who can live in a community where peace is priority, where
Yeah.
harmony is priority, where I suppose diversity is embraced fully, and indifference
Yes.
no longer an obstacle, but it
Yeah.
is an advantage.
An advantage.
Mm.
So, can you discuss some of the success strategies that you've implemented for empowering disadvantaged communities through ARC?
Yes, one is corporations. We believe in collaborations, and we
Hmm.
believe that the more we collaborate with different groups, the more, first and foremost, the more we can achieve, the more resources we have, and again, leading to more we can achieve. But we've also made it very clear that everything we do needs to have measurable, it has to be measurable, and it has to be achievable, and it has to show some sort of result in the end, right? So a lot of our
Right.
programs and initiatives are categorized or broken down into exactly those segments, right? Where we can actually, we have a certain amount of time where we're given these information or we're doing these programs. Then we measure how much growth someone has undergone and how they can then take that into the different streams of life: education,
Yes.
workforce, family, whatever, right? All of
Hmm.
those, the way we really want to shape ARC is so that it can actually contribute to change. And we're not looking at short-term change only. Short-term change
No.
is engagement,
Yeah.
it's fun. But long-term, do you feel like you're now more valuable as a person, and you can go into any system and feel like I belong, or I can add value to that system? It doesn't matter where you go. Again, it can be family, it can be school, wherever you go, workforce. Can you feel
Yeah.
like, yes, I can contribute, or yes, I'm needed by this system in order to make this system more beautiful? And again, it comes back to
That.
the whole idea of, hey, guys, you know, let's give these young people from the very early stages of their life fun. Let's give them the idea of harmony. Let's give them the idea of, hey, it's okay to look different, sound different, and feel different. But at the
Yes.
end of the day, can you put all those things into where you are and make your environment the best it can be in the most peaceful
That.
way possible?
Yeah. I
Mm.
love that. So, what future initiatives are you planning for ARC to further support and enhance diversity within communities?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I sort of touched on a lot. So this year, ARC has a few organizations that are already kind of put in place or already on paper with
Mhm.
two very notable ones are HWPL, and they have this sector where it focuses on education, right? And ARC
Right.
this year, we said we're gonna do more educational programs for our youth and young adults and our women leadership programs, where we're
Okay.
prioritizing peace, where we're prioritizing harmony and value, because
Okay.
we really want the young people from early on, because we have children from 7 all the way to 18, right? And then we have
Right.
seniors as well, right? So these
Yes.
early ones, we really want them to understand, first and foremost, again, the importance of education that
Yes.
helps you to, it becomes a key for you to do an array of things in the future, right? But if
Yeah.
the education is combined with a message of peace or harmony or unity, then we've gone further than what school is teaching you
It's
as a
right.
curriculum, right? Which is what,
Yes.
because we don't want to teach them what the school is already teaching them. Otherwise, we're just double handling, right? We want to diversify it and specify it. And what HWPL has done is they're very clever. They've taken the curriculum and kind of married it with the school, but they've added a layer of peace so that children are going to these schools with a notion of, hey, the people in school are not bad just because they speak different, they look different. They're good
Yeah.
because they can actually add to who I am as a person, and I can
Yeah.
use their weaknesses can be my strength and vice versa. And you guys kind of fill each other out and create this beautiful system. So that's what
Yeah.
ARC is at. And then the
Mm.
second group is Vic Wise, which works with international students. And Vic Wise is this marvelous organization. And this year we plan to do a lot of sporting activities to try and
Okay.
engage uh, that community, which is international students. Which, if you know anything about international students, they're the most disadvantaged in terms of engagement in
Yeah.
the community. They found it very difficult to assimilate. And
Yeah.
so this year, that's our plan, to work with these students and make them feel loved, feel valued, and feel cared for, because that's what we do at ARC. Mm.
I love it. So my last question for you is, what advice would you give to young individuals aspiring to make a difference in their communities,
Mm.
particularly in terms of promoting diversity and inclusion?
Absolutely. Like I said, there is no single person who is not valuable. There is no
Mhm.
single person who should feel like I have nothing that I can add to first of all to my own life or to
Yeah.
someone else's life or to our whole system. Every single
Mm.
person is valuable. Every single
Yeah.
person matters, and you have strength that absolutely makes a system complete. The problem is no one is teaching you that, and no one is encouraging you to think like that. And
Yes.
so, because no one is doing it, you need to kind of draw it within yourself or
Yeah.
hang out with people that do exactly that, which bring out that strength in you, remind you that you're valuable, right? So
Yeah.
for me, there's a very common saying that goes, if you hang out with five rich people, you become the sixth. If you hang out with five these kind
Mm.
of people, you become the sixth, whatever, right? So
Yeah.
diversity is the same. If you hang out with five people who value diversity and see diversity as a beautiful thing that can make everything beautiful, you will become the sixth. So this is where your environment can begin to change, your perception of yourself changes. So value
Yeah.
goes up, purpose goes up in terms of esteem.
Yeah.
And suddenly you are now a person who's walking this life with more self-worth. And you can
Yeah.
do more. You can do more as well. So my advice would be, please create an environment for yourself that will allow you to grow, but
Yeah.
also always see yourself as the person that can fill in the gap. Because if you don't see yourself as a person who can fill in the gap, then you're always going to look for someone to fill in the gap, and your
Yeah.
value for yourself will always decrease. And unfortunately, that's what leads to people not seeing themselves as people who belong to a certain system, a certain class, or certain whatever. And so that's going to be the theme of ARC this year, to really work with those organizations to try and make our youth and young adults understand their value and who they are and how important their diversity, whatever that may be, again, it may be the language they speak, it may be how they look, where they're from, all of those things are very, very important in contributing to society, to their system, to their environment, and even to their families and themselves.
If I could teleport you back to the past when this project was starting, and you could give yourself three nuggets of wisdom based on what life has taught you up until this point, what would you say to that younger you? I'm saying this in case there's a young person who's listening to this, wants to start something in their community. What 3 words or nuggets of wisdom can you share?
Absolutely. Now, wisdom wise, to be honest with you, it's not much of a wisdom. But first and foremost, you matter. You matter and you can add value to anything and everything. That's one. You do matter and you can add, you can change, you can become whoever and whenever you want to become that person. You can become whoever you want to become and you can do it at any time of your life. Doesn't matter whether you've messed up before, doesn't matter whether you believe you don't have the capacity. The thing is, change your mindset, change your attitude, you will do it. All right. And the second is follows to that. Just do it. If you have an idea, if you have a vision, just do it. Start it organically. You don't have to over plan because sometimes we're kind of stuck in the planning to a point where we can't move forward. So rather than planning too much, just begin and learn as you go. That's how ARC was born. As a matter of fact, a lot of geniuses, they so say, that's how they begin their whole careers or their whole initiatives, whatever they want to plan. Just do it. It's simple as that. And the third one would be please, please, please seek wisdom. Seek wisdom from people who've done it before. You cannot reinvent the wheel, and you don't have to. What you have as an idea has already been thought of by too many people in the past. And research, you do a little bit through a little bit of research, you see that to be true. So please be the person who has the initiative to ask, to seek wisdom, to do your research, and to ensure that you are fully rich in all this research so that you can make your own creation, your own idea, your own growth, your own understanding of the world around you to be the best. Mm.
Last question. As a young man who comes from a country that was war torn, the genocide in Rwanda was a horrendous experience.
Mm.
We watched it from a distance. I'm from
Mm.
Zimbabwe. It was
Mm.
not pleasant. You're now working in peace building
Mm.
and trying to create a better future for the next generation.
Mm.
So if I teleport you into the future and take you to go and have a conversation with the 90-year-old you, you're now sitting in your rocking chair surrounded by your children and your grandchildren. Based on
Right.
how you're living your life right now, if you can go and have a conversation with that wise man, what would you
Mm.
say to him?
That's a much harder question, much harder question. But I think what I would say is, first and foremost, I would have to reflect. If I'm 90, I would have to reflect on life and how the different stages of life have kind of taught me different lessons. Sum that up and have that as a period of reflection, really, and say, look, I might have not have changed the world, but did I change the world of my own world? Did I help change the world of 2, 3, 4 people? I think that's very important. I think in life, those who don't reflect and those who don't carry the their suppose their milestones into life and see how that has helped them grow, has helped other people grow, are the ones that kind of find everything to be futile, right? Now, I think that would be my reflection, and that would then I would say, if I could do it again, right? What would I now, with all this knowledge, what would I change in the different stages of my life? From youth to middle age and to senior and much senior. I think that would be more of where I want to be at 90, just a reflection and seeing what more could have done. And then finding young people in those stages of life and giving them this wisdom. I've always wanted to do TED Talks. And I think TED Talks is where I would then convey all this information. Mm.
Awesome. Now, I always like to ask that last question because that old man is already in you. The promptings that you've had to create this organization, to do what you're doing now,
Mm.
he's guiding you there. So I
Mm.
just wanted to remind you of that, to keep listening to that inner voice
Mm.
and not doubt it when it comes, when those whispers come, when things look like they're impossible, you can't achieve it. You're
Mm.
already doing it.
Right.
So thank you so much for coming onto our platform and sharing this amazing story. It's an absolute honor to be connected with you at this moment in time. And I wish you luck with all of your endeavors in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me this morning, Ms. Gertrude. It's been an absolute pleasure. And I think I was not prepped for a lot of these questions, which is good, which made me, what you guys have heard is the honest me, and that's all I have to offer.
And that's
So
why I
thank you so
don't
much.
ask questions before the interview, because I want that authentic, raw, genuine answer. So thank you so much. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Diversity Connector is bringing you stories, knowledge, information from people from all over the world, different walks of life and different life experiences. Come back again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. Thanks again, Jonas.
Thank you so much, Ms. Gertrude. Thank you.
And that's a wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open, and definitely stay